Eric, to start us off, could you talk about the main criteria that you look for when assessing patent matters for potential financing?
In terms of main criteria, when looking at a patent matter for potential funding, the core of the analysis typically starts with what I call sort of the three substantive pillars of any patent case. You've got patent validity, patent infringement, and patent damages. And in that regard, we look at patent cases, potential patent investments, in a manner that's very similar to how potential contingency counsel might look at a case. That is, when they're considering a case for contingency representation, we're reviewing the merits of a patent case, sort of the core substantive pieces of a patent case, and we're making a determination, are those merits sufficiently strong such that an investment is warranted in exchange for some of the potential upside? Sort of starting there with those three main pillars, there's then, assuming there's a viable patent case from a legal perspective that is potentially something to be invested in, there's potentially a whole host of additional criteria that we sort of layer over that core analysis. And sort of some of that criteria is sort of patent focused and patent litigation focused. And those factors or criteria can include things like who is counsel for the matter you're looking at, what is their track record, particularly in the patent litigation space. Another such factor is what is the history, if any, associated with the particular patents that are underlying the patent case? Similarly, what is the litigation history of any of the patents involved in the case you're looking at? And then similarly, sort of what is the strategy, apart from like the raw merits of is this patent good or is this patent bad, sort of what is the strategy that counsel and the ultimate counterparty is proposing to monetize that patent? So those are some of the sort of patent factors that are in addition to the core criteria. There's also a whole host of other factors, and these are just sort of general business related factors, just sort of general deal factors. And these include things such as the identity of the parties involved, the financial position of the various parties involved, the goals and motivations of the parties involved. These are things that are sort of just as important as the underlying patent merits. Additionally, funders have their own internal considerations that are somewhat divorced from sort of the objective, is this a good or is this a bad patent case? Each funder, Burford included, has sort of its own risk profile. It has its own portfolio of investments that it's managing. So when it's considering any new additional matter, in this instance, a patent matter for investment, it will certainly look to its own risk tolerance and its own track record of success investing or not in particular things in particular types of cases.
So Eric, you've talked about the criteria that you consider when looking at patent matters for financing. What about the diligence process? Is there anything distinct about diligencing patent matters for potential legal finance versus other types of commercial matters?
So the process for conducting diligence, it's really an iterative one. This is certainly specific to patent investments, but I think more broadly, the process is iterative. It begins with sort of an initial presentation, introduction of the matter from our potential counterparty. That could be a claim holder, an IP holder, that could be in conjunction with their counsel that are likely representing them. But it usually kicks off with some sort of a presentation, usually in the form of written materials, in the same way that anyone else seeking any other type of investment might initially start to solicit those investments with a sort of package of materials. And in this instance, when we're looking at IP related investments and patent litigation specific investments, written materials up front are key. Sort of the more baked or substantially baked written work product there is up front, sort of the better in kicking off this iterative process. So Burford, people at Burford that look like me, have similar backgrounds to myself, who are conducting the diligence, will sort of digest those materials, go through them, form our own initial opinions and questions and thoughts. And that's where the process becomes iterative. Invariably, if the matter is something we're interested in, there will be this back and forth with counsel and claim holder. hey, we reviewed the materials. We have some follow-up questions on patent validity, patent infringement, the history of the patents. And there will be this push and pull between the funder and the people seeking money from the funder to sort of iterate on those questions and plug the gaps that Burford has initially when it's reviewing the materials. I'd say specific to patent cases and patent litigation cases, this is true for Burford, we have our IP expertise in-house. So we do the diligence in-house. So again, it's myself and some of my similarly situated colleagues who are combing through these matters and sort of drawing upon our own experience as patent litigators and our own experience in the litigation finance industry to sort of make judgment calls about what we're looking at and determining what may warrant an investment and what does not. And then at some point in the process, the parties do start to speak about economic terms of what a potential deal might look like. And that potential time can come at different spots in sort of investment life cycle. At some time, depending on the potential investment, sort of the initial discussion of economic terms might come substantially at the end of the diligence process, but also depending on sort of the contours of the matter being presented, if something looks initially interesting and it looks like everyone is pointed in the same direction, oftentimes prudent to start discussing potential economic terms that might govern an IP-related investment, sort of in parallel with tying off final diligence points, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page in the same universe in terms of economics and generally steering in the same direction.